So we do have one recollection here from Sato to read. After 2 months, or about 2 months after waking up on Kamishima and being taken in, Sato Shiranami goes to the roof of the Kantakisho ruins for some time alone. So this is her perspective of when she met with Yuza for the first time, right? 2 months have passed since I washed up on this island. 400 years elapsed while I was locked away under the sea, but I managed to adjust to modern life somehow. Although sometimes I wonder why I bothered. It's so quiet on the roof of the Kantakisho. I'm alone, but for the wind rustling in the trees, the distant roar of the tide, it feels so good to have this view all to myself, to just let the soft sea breeze carry me away. It's the perfect spot for someone who wants as little to do with others as possible. But yesterday, someone came up here and ruined everything. I wouldn't say he ruined everything. He just came up, you guys had like a 10-minute conversation, and then he left. Like, you're a little overdramatic, don't you think? I was a little worried at first, but I've adapted pretty smoothly to modern civilization. The fact I only have vague memories of my life from 400 years ago probably helped a bit. I still don't really understand how ships and cars move by themselves, or how electrical appliances and lights and things work. It's not really an issue, to be honest. I know how to use them, and that's what counts. Most people who were born in the modern era could tell you that fridges keep stuff cold, but not exactly how they could do it. It's actually pretty easy to get by if you just accept that not knowing everything in detail is normal. Besides, it doesn't seem like life has changed that much for the fishermen who live on this remote island. Apparently the big cities have greatly evolved, with water and sewage systems as well as subways. Waking up there would have been a lot more confusing. I really do love being alone. It's so calming. I have a good reason to isolate myself on this island. Soon, my life will be over. I probably have less than a month left. Whoever sealed me away seems to have had some kindness in them at least. They allowed me to spend my last moments as myself, alive. But I can hardly feel grateful. How much living can you really do in a few months? A few weeks? That girl Tsukasa Awao who's always hanging around me? But I try to keep my feelings in check and act as cold as possible. Getting too close will only make things harder when it all has to end. I like to joke and laugh with them. Spend time talking about our favorite TV series and stuff like that. Especially with Tsukasa. The way she reacts to things is so funny. It's really hard not to laugh and play along. I have to try so hard to keep my feelings under control. Cheerful conversations will only become painful memories for her later. And since running out into the woods and living alone isn't appealing, I just have to play my role as the unfriendly loner till the time comes for me to disappear. Just one more month. One more month of coasting along without making waves. I feel so bad for Sato. The more like we find out about her, man. That's why Tsukasa said she was so cold when she first came. Why she felt like she was just depressed. I was kind of half expecting Yuza to be behind me. Watching TV every day, learning more and more about the modern world, there's so much fun to be had. Pretending otherwise actually hurts. Humanity has prospered. In the past, the common folk were preoccupied with surviving each day. Now almost everyone can eat delicious food and sleep in a warm bed without having to toil day and night. People have time, freedom, entertainment. It's wonderful. I wish I had time to enjoy it all. Get on an airplane, maybe even fly to Tokyo. There's not much of a chance of that. Not with the time I have left. Still, I really wish I could try one of those game consoles you could hook up to the TV. You could play different games by switching cartridges, according to what they say on TV. Those consoles are so popular it's hard to even find one. Not that I'm in a position to make demands, of course. All I can do is look at the pictures in the magazines and dream about them. If I had a game console, I bet I'd play it all day. Anyway, there's no point in wishing for too much. I'm just grateful to be able to spend my days this way. It's all thanks to Wakamura. Please just let me watch TV for my last remaining month. That's not too much to ask, is it? Anyway, I shouldn't let my guard down. I've got to keep myself in line. No extravagances. Man, like at the beginning of the game when they kept talking about how much she watches TV, like they kind of played it off as like a quirky character trait, and it's kind of funny. And, you know, you might make jokes about her being, you know, like a shut-in or whatever, but like the more you hear about this and you hear why she does it, it's really sad. It's really sad. I've just got to gently drift along and not rock the boat. At least that was the plan. And yet, when speaking to him yesterday, I got completely carried away. I'm still mad at myself about it. Next time, I'll be more careful. Cool as a cucumber. Wait. Next time. Do Yuza and Sato have like a... Like, other than the fact that they're both immortals, but I'm not sure if the game's trying to imply that they're developing crushes on each other or not, or if it's just because they are in similar boats and understand each other. Like, it could be a bit of both. I'm not really sure how I feel about the game trying to push this romance, if that really is the case. Oh well. Yuza Minakuchi. Something about him makes me lose my cool completely. It's probably the shock of finding out he's immortal too. Yeah, that must be it. And maybe being immortals puts us on a different wavelength from other people. That could be why I've drawn to him. He seemed quite young. He can't have been immortal long. To think if mermaids are still around even now. Wait a moment. Because like she kept saying about like something about failing someone for the next 400 years or something like that. Was she talking about Yuza? I wonder if he knows I'm an 800-year immortal too. I hope not. If he does, it puts my peaceful life at risk. I better make sure he knows to keep his mouth shut. I have to talk to Yuza Minakuchi again. Finding him again is sure gonna be a hassle. Unless he's right behind me. What if I just have to turn around a couple times? Oh! Jump scare! Use a jump scare, I knew it. Wish he'd wipe that look off his face, as if he's indifferent. I bet he's secretly proud of himself for being the one to startle me this time. He's right there! That actually made me jump. You came back. So you're here too, huh? Did I startle you? Let's be coy. Startle me, not one bit. It'd take more than sneaking up behind me to give me a scare. At least I was honest yesterday. You definitely jumped. Just admit it. No way, I knew you were there the whole time. Never mind that now. There's something I want to ask you. There's something I need to tell you too. But you go first. So I was thinking about what you said yesterday about that pretty rough thing. And it occurred to me. Could you by any chance be an immortal girl? Whoa, I didn't know it was that obvious. I knew it. Something about you was just different. So, I'm an immortal boy. You're an immortal girl. Don't put it like that. Why not? That's what we look like. It sounds better than people who became immortal by eating mermaid flesh. Besides, going by our actual ages or something would just get confusing. I guess that makes sense. Right? You might as well call yourself that too. Alright, I will. Anyway, as it turns out, I want to talk about the same thing. You knew you're immortal, didn't you? Yep. I found out just recently, in fact. I got swept out to sea and survived against all odds. That's when I remembered being saved by a mermaid 5 years ago, and it all started to make sense. Wait, saved? By a mermaid? From what? Well... I had no idea. I hadn't even heard an incident like that occurred 5 years ago, and in the sea just south of Kamishima too. No one really talks about it anymore. So a mermaid saved you and made you an immortal boy. Right. That's my best guess anyway. Not that I understand why a mermaid would go out of her way to rescue me. Huh. Anyway, I'm just happy I could finally talk to someone about this. There's still so much I don't understand. Since we're here, do you mind if I ask you some questions? That's fine, but I need you to promise me one thing. Never tell anyone about me being an immortal girl. Easy. I prefer people didn't know about me either. Good. I'd have to kill you otherwise, so thanks for sparing me the trouble. You know, you're a lot tougher than I thought you'd be. Anyway, done. I swear my life on it. Or lives. Whoa, look at you making immortal jokes. You modern kids are something else. Honestly, it just came out. He's been immortal for 5 years, so he's not gonna get any taller. Another 795 years as a teenager sounds pretty rough. So, what did you want to ask me? Oh, right. How long does this immortal thing last? Is it really forever? 800 years. No more, no less. Wow, 800 years. That's a really solid number. Precisely. Good luck for the next 795. What am I, some kind of fine wine? I need more than luck. That's 8 whole centuries we're talking about. Yeah, it's pretty rough, like I said. I could tell you had a long time left. Being immortal for so long must give you amazing intuition. Oh, and just checking, but is there any way to undo our immortality? No, there isn't. You're not human anymore, and there's no way to become human again now that your human body's long gone. I knew it. By the way, how long have you been alive? This is my 800th year. I only have a month left. What? Really? It's a long story, but I've kind of been out of the game for the past 400 years. Now my life is almost over. 400 years is a long, long time. Only 1 month. You're way older than I imagined. So, is there anything I need to be careful of? What do you mean? Well, seeing as I'm stuck in this immortal body, is there anything I should avoid? Oh, right. If you fall into a deep fissure or a pit of lava, you'll keep dying over and over. So don't do that. Yikes, that sounds terrifying. Avoid lava. Got it. That's about it. I don't actually remember all that much. I guess that's how it is. Oh, and it'll get messy if people find out, so try to keep a low profile. You'll probably have to find somewhere new to live every few decades. That'll help you avoid suspicion. Living in the same place for so long is dangerous, huh? Oh, but it won't be easy living anonymously with a family registry system. It used to be just be able to show up in a new place and start making a living. People did that all the time. Nowadays. Yeah, I bet it's way more difficult to move around than it used to be. Sounds real rough. Good luck with that. Great, thanks. The next day. So, I bet they come and keep talking to each other for quite a few days, and that's how she opens up. Not again. Are you gonna come here every day? It's not like I have anything better to do. Yeah, me neither. You know, you're the one who started showing up at my favorite place. I like it too. I have just as much right to be here as you do. Besides, it's a nice spot. Yeah, I get that. You said before you came here to think. What do you come to think about? Stuff like what sort of work I could do. Oh, are you unemployed? Obviously, someone with a job wouldn't spend their mornings staring at the sea. Not everyone's lucky enough to have a cushy life eating free food and watching TV all day. Listen, can we cut this out? It seems utterly pointless to knock each other down every 5 seconds. Then I guess we call it truce. Wait, I feel like they... I feel like this line is supposed to be his. I thought she was making a joke about herself. But no, I'm pretty sure this is the second time we've seen this in this game, where they wrote the wrong person's name over the wrong dialogue. I think he was supposed to continue saying this, and then she says Irk. Because it felt weird for her to insult herself and then go, ugh. I thought she was laughing at first. That's unfortunate. Hey. Huh? Is living for so long hard? It's definitely not a stable life. It can be really hard at times. That's true whether you're immortal or not, isn't it? At least you don't have to worry about starving to death anymore. Even if you get sick or injured, dying will fix it. I've never actually struggled that much because of my immortality, to be honest. Oh, it's really that easy? I mean, what if you really want to die and you just can't? Do you want to die? Well, not now, but maybe if I live long enough, I'll change my mind. Oh. When you say you got swept out to sea before, was that because you... Damn, I thought you were a super chill boy, but I guess you're a sensitive boy too. Seems that way. I was just as surprised as you to find that out. Damn, so Yuza was trying to kill himself. Come on then, what happened? Talk to your elder immortal. Geez, so they blamed your mother for the disaster 5 years ago, and even shunned you because of it. Guess you mustn't be so keen to come back here then. I didn't want my Gran or Azami to have to worry about me. It was a moment of weakness that pulled me back here, I guess. I'm not really sure. Regardless, I need to live as quietly as possible and stay out of everyone's way now. That's why you come up here to be alone, huh? Well, I know how you feel. It's the same for me. The day after. Wait, so you were sealed in an underwater cave for 400 years? Yeah, there was a reason for it, to keep something from happening, but I don't remember what it was. But I'm awake now, so that must mean it's okay. Whatever it was. Jeez, that must have been terrible. Pretty noble of me, wouldn't you say? If you want to worship me, I wouldn't say no. So this Azami Kamoi guy looks out for you, huh? Yeah, he's a really good guy. Too good for me. Definitely. Honestly, I don't think I can survive on this island without his help. And yet you haven't told him you're immortal. No, I doubt he'd believe me. Besides, if he starts avoiding me or something, I'd have nothing left. I don't think I can keep going. Not that you could die. True. Several days later. I see. So you've been acting cold because you didn't have much time left, huh? I understand. Saying goodbye to people you care about isn't easy. Yeah, exactly. When you live as long as we do, you have to say goodbye to so many people. Come to think of it, being immortal sounds pretty rough. Well, it does mean saying goodbye a lot. You can see why people see immortality as a kind of punishment, or hell itself. There have been immortals who became so overcome with despair that they turned their backs on the world and devoted themselves to religion. Like Yao Bikuni. So that's where that story comes from. Or, that's Yuza. Like Yao Bikuni, so that's where that story comes from. But you know, as far as I can remember, I've never felt this existence was hell. Really? Yep, for those 400 years before I was sealed away, I just lived out my life. If you ask me, not everyone's cut out to be immortal. It's like anything else, really. Some people have what it takes, others don't. So what, you're just a natural immortal? Yep, it's like I was born for it. I see, there really is something for everyone. I guess emotionally maturing to match the fact that you're 817 years old wasn't for you, huh? You noticed? I'm self-conscious about that. Oh, sorry. Anyway, it takes talent to live for centuries without seeming to age a day. True. I wish I had that talent too. I'm jealous. I hope I'll be able to look at it the same way. Are you scared? Huh? Are you scared of being alone for the next 800 years? Well, yeah, that's part of it. It's also just hard to imagine myself living in the future. It makes sense. I probably would have been scared too if I'd known from the start I had 8 whole centuries ahead of me. But I reckon you'll be okay. You might even surprise yourself. You think so? Yeah, you're a lot like me in some ways. So I think you just might be cut out for this immortal life. Huh. Are we alike? I hadn't noticed. Sure we are, like how you started playing the fool when you're embarrassed. You caught me there. See? And remember when we first met? We started talking like we were old friends right off the bat. True. I remember thinking it was funny how I didn't feel awkward at all. I rest my case. If you got the knack for it, another 795 years will feel like nothing. Blink and you'll miss it. Like nothing. I don't know if I want to go by that fast. Exactly. In the end, you might not even feel like it was enough. Maybe your last words will be, I know I've lived 800 years, but come on, give me another few centuries. I get it now. Huh? You really are good at being immortal. So good, you still don't want to die. Huh? You've only got 1 month left before your lifespan ends. You must be scared, too. You've never despaired once of being immortal until now. You're not wrong there. I mean, I lost 400 years. So I'm not nearly done with life yet. I want to keep living more than anything. Of course I'm scared. I can understand that. It's not like you're on your deathbed and been given 1 month left to live. You're as healthy as could be. So maybe it's time you stop worrying. What do you mean? Since you don't have long left, why not spend the rest of your lifespan having fun? Live it out to the fullest. If you do your best, if you do the best you can with the time you have left, you might feel satisfied with the life you led in the end. Wow, I don't know why I didn't think of that. But if I get close to anyone, it will hurt them when I die. Yeah, but I mean, you could just let them mourn you. You've had to do that plenty of times, right? I guess I could be forgiven for being a little selfish in my old age. Exactly. If it helps, consider yourself forgiven. Does that mean you'll mourn me when I disappear? Of course I will. From the bottom of my heart. Really now? That might just make me happy. Good. And here's the plan. You're going to have as much fun as possible starting tomorrow. Tsukasa's coming back for the holidays too, by the way. I'm sure she'll be more than happy to hang out with you. She wanted to be your friend, you know. Oh, I'm liking the sound of this more and more. I want to be her friend too. Guess this is my chance to take her around the island. Oh, but while I'm at it... Yeah? You said your grandmother Suyu needed someone to talk to, right? Oh, yeah. It's just we don't have much to talk about. She's always going on about what's on TV and I just can't keep up. Leave the TV talk to me. Oh, and I'd be happy to look after her while you're out working as well. Are you sure? That'd be a huge help, but... Sure, I'm sure. She seems like an interesting person to talk to. I'd love to spend some time with her. She's definitely something. You can't let your guard down around her, that's for sure. And she's pretty stubborn. Not to mention, if she doesn't like something, she's not afraid to say it. I'll bear that in mind. You know what? I'm actually pretty excited for tomorrow now. I'm glad. Hey, Yuza. That's my name. Don't wear it out. I know we initially came here because we want to be alone. But from now on, can we come here when we don't want to be alone instead? Sato. Of course we can. I'll wait for you here every day. Aww. Smile of his. Damn it. Okay, I take back what I said about them not wanting them to develop a romance. Even if it feels like it just came at the end of the game, even though this happens before the game. I decided to stop holding back and reach out to everyone around me. And you know what? They responded. They started interacting with me in just the same way. So I decided to spend my last few days having as much fun as possible. So much they won't have time to fear the end. Of course, no one but Yuza and I know about my immortality, or what little remains of it. These past few days have been so much fun, there are points where I can't even tell if I'm dreaming, or if this is my new reality. And more importantly, Yuza's life and mine have continued to intertwine, so we meet at our usual spot day after day. We get along so well. Being together feels like the most natural thing on Earth. And it didn't take long for both of us to notice how comfortable we were with each other. Before we knew it, we were being drawn together with increasing intensity, like stars meeting in orbit. Oh, there's more! Oh, there's more! I didn't think there'd be more. I thought there'd just be more. I thought this was gonna be the end. Like, of the flashbacks. I was gonna say that I really wish that this took place earlier in the game. Like, we unlocked it between here and here. Or, sorry, between here and here. Which means that, like, you have to see that scene at the end of the game. You can't see it earlier. It would have been nice to know more about Yuza and Sato earlier. so that her send-off would be more emotional. I mean, I guess I could have went back to the recollection and then come back to here, and then it would have made more emotional sense, but I'm kind of glad I did it afterwards, because I feel like, you know, once we thwarted Tomoshige, we kind of wanted to see what would happen next, like, immediately, right? But still. Like, I think they're doing a good job of developing this. Like, it kind of sucks too, because we also haven't seen Yuza and Sato much in the same location during, like, the actual game earlier. I think, like, this game has an interesting idea to it, and I love the themes, I love the ideas, I love the emotions they're trying to weave into it. I just think the biggest problem is the pacing. Like, of course, the way that they're making it so there's separate timelines and us going back and forth between different characters' POVs and stuff like that makes it adds to the mystery, but it definitely makes some of the pacing a little weird. And I know that it, like, for most people, they can play this game in different orders than everyone else. Like, someone else who's played this game than me has played it in a different order than I have. But still, even having said that, there's still, like, certain events that have to take place before others. So the pacing is still weird, is what I'm trying to say. I think regardless of what you do. Also, I guess I should have realized that, like, I thought that Memories of Last Summer was, like, their memories now of 1 year ago, but then I completely forgot Sato's only been with them for 3 months, and she's only been active for the last 1 month, so that would have been impossible anyways. We have Yuza's route here, with a picture of Sato here, and a matching picture of him on her route. See, that's kind of sweet. I just wish that we saw more of that, or hints of that throughout the game, because, like, from a player's perspective, it feels like we played through the whole game and then they suddenly develop feelings for each other at the very end of the game and it feels rushed. But because, like, it's a flashback, we know that technically this has been happening for a while, but as a player, it still feels like it came out at the end, so it doesn't feel like we have time to really, like, grip with it and develop with it and understand and appreciate Yuza and Sato's relationship. Yuza Minikuchi meets Sato Shiranami, a fellow immortal, in secret over the past month, and grows closer to her. A decisive night befalls them. Cool night skies teeming with stars. The wind gently brushes the trees as ocean waves echo in the distance. Looking over the sea puts my mind at ease. It's also kind of weird, the pacing-wise, because at least the order I played this game in, the first half of the game, we were mostly playing as Yuza and Sato, and then for the second half, it felt like we were mostly playing as Yumiko and Arnav, and at that point, we barely saw Yuza and Sato at all, and so it kind of felt like they were like Yumiko and Arnav were the protagonists, and they were doing a lot more active things, like they were actually solving mysteries and giving us all the lore dumps and giving us answers to all the questions that popped up during Yuza and Sato's story. So, I don't know, I just feel like, again, the pacing is kind of odd. Pacing is just a little odd. Oh, you weren't there before. We don't have much time. Honestly, we really should have made up our minds long ago. But there's still a chance. I refuse to give up until it's all over. When we were here yesterday, she told me how she felt. She said she loved me, that if it were somehow possible, she'd be with me forever. It must have taken some real courage. I actually feel kind of bad for making her say it. I feel exactly the same way. Even though we've known each other for less than a month, I can't deny these feelings. I felt the same way, but I didn't have her courage. Either way, one of us only has days left to live. The other, 795 years. Telling her how I felt would mean nothing. Worse, it would make parting that much harder. I thought I could bury my feelings somewhere they would emerge from. For her part, I suppose she wanted to move on without leaving anything unsaid. No regrets, even if nothing came of it. She knew it was futile, but she said it anyway. Yet, maybe I should have done Sato's episode before Yuza's, even though they take place concurrently. Once I let those feelings out, feelings that should never have been revealed, there was no controlling them anymore. My desire to spend the rest of my life with her burned like a searing flame in my chest. We contemplated possible ways for us to remain together, and the answer came to us surprisingly fast, an answer that we shouldn't have even considered. There was no time to concern ourselves with the right or wrong of it. We didn't even hesitate. Only one option was available to us, and we intended to take it. There was hardly enough time to see it through. That's why he keeps saying, I need to find a mermaid, I only have 2 days to do it. He wanted it for her. Hell, even if we had longer, the odds of our plan succeeding were dismally low. It was nothing more than our final vain act of rebellion. Sato sits quietly watching the ebb and flow of the tide. I wonder what she's thinking about. Is she carefully contemplating what comes next? Yeah, like, this is really sad. Like, you fall in love, but the next one person in the pair is gonna die really soon, and the other person knows they're gonna live an extremely tremendous long amount of time without them. That's really sad. Hell, even if we had longer, the odds of our plan succeeding were dismally low. It's nothing more than our final vain wish of rebellion. What are you thinking about? Huh? I was thinking about how we first met. A month ago? Yeah. Back then, you said you wouldn't bother me. You peeked over at me like 5 times, didn't you? Did the game actually count how many times I looked at her? Hey, game, I only looked at her until the checkmark appeared, okay? I thought I was being sneaky. You even counted the number of times? I do like how this game likes to count the number of times you do things. Like, at least 4 or 5 times they call you out on it. But if you're counting, I guess you must have been watching me too, right? I didn't realize I was giving myself away. But you're right. I was looking at you. Ah, so that's why you crept up behind me to scare me, huh? I wasn't trying to scare you. I just wanted to see your surprised face. So you were trying to scare me. Well, you honestly got me good. You honestly got me good. You definitely got me back the next day. I love that memory. With a memory like that, there's nothing else I need. I have no regrets. Come on, you can't be all fulfilled and complete already. We're only just getting started. Right. Only getting started. My heart won't stop racing. I've never felt this way before. At first I thought it was simply because we were both immortal and our closeness was a feeling of kinship. But it's more than that. I've never gotten along with someone so well, especially someone who's lived such a different life from my own. Feels like I found a missing piece of myself. My heart is whole when I'm with her. Our very souls are in harmony. Well, that might be pushing it a bit. Even Gran saw how compatible we are and urged me to get married already. It was too embarrassing for me to tell Sato about it, though. There's no way I can lose her. I can't even conceive of life without her. Even with 800 years of life ahead of me, I'll never meet anyone remotely as amazing as her. If there's some way to use my immortality to stay with her, I'd do it in an instant. Whatever form I'd have to take, I wouldn't complain. I'd sell my soul to the devil if it would get me what I desired. We made up our minds. We'll see our final wish through no matter what. Sato Shiranami meets Yuza Minakuchi, a fellow immortal, in secret over the past month and grows close to him. A decisive night befalls them. Summer breeze feels perfect, and the clear sky is sparkling with stars. Nothing relaxes me more than the whispers of the tide, and the breeze in the trees. I'm so happy. I only have 2 days left. Finding hope at a time like this feels like a miracle. I'd all but given up. I never thought I'd get a second chance. When we were here yesterday, I told Yuza how I felt. Oh, so we never actually get to see that happen on screen. I thought this episode would be her confessing to him. I told him I loved him. That if it were somehow possible, I'd stay by his side forever. This game also does that too. There's a lot of events that take place off screen. I know part of it's because they want to save time, but sometimes some of the things that happen off screen feel important. Like, again, Yumiko talking with Wakamura and convincing him and fighting about Suigen Gamyodo all happened off screen. I feel like that's kind of important for us. Like, I know we don't need to see, like, Azami going around collecting everyone's mirrors from Sato and Tsukasa, so I understand why that happened off screen, but still. I planned on taking those feelings onto the grave. But then it hit me. There wouldn't even be a grave for me. Maybe that's why I blurted it out. I was prepared for it to go badly, but he accepted my feelings. Still, I only have 2 days left. It can't be any easier on him than it is me. After all, sharing our feelings changes nothing. It'll only make it harder to say goodbye. But Yuza confessed he'd been suppressing his feelings for the same reason. Hearing that made me wish I hadn't said it first. I can't help feeling like I lost somehow. Looking back, that moment was the only time I could have said it, so I'm glad I did. However, now that that's all out in the open, I thought we'd feel a sense of peace, but we don't. Far from it. We're not like a pair of tragic lovers in a story, bound to die beautifully together or anything like that. I mean, if we could die together, there'd be nothing to agonize over in the first place. So we started thinking of ways we could be together. The answer came to us surprisingly fast. It was an answer that could be described as taboo. Yuza asked me if I was sure I wanted to go through with it, but honestly, I didn't need to think twice. If that's what it takes, then so be it. All I want is to be with him. We're running out of time. Although, even if we had more time, the odds of our plan succeeding are almost zero anyway. Part of me wishes we'd made this plan much earlier. But maybe I needed this time for my feelings to reach their peak. Maybe this is how it had to be. Better to think we made it just in time. I'll keep fighting this fate until the very end. Yuza is silently gazing out at the dark sea. I wonder what he's thinking about. I suppose he's secretly considering what lies ahead of us. What are you thinking about? Huh? Oh, just our height difference. Oh, my height's been bugging you. Well, you know, we're gonna be like this forever. Don't worry, even 15 centimeters between us, you look great, Yuza. Thanks, but that doesn't really make me feel better. Hey, it's not your fault you're only in middle school when you became immortal. Nothing you could do now, you'll just have to live with it. Man, if it had happened just 1 or 2 years later, I'd be at least 5 centimeters taller. Wait, even then I'd still be 10 centimeters shorter than you. Wow, that's crazy. Sorry for being crazy tall. It's fine, I don't care if there's 15 centimeters between us. You're still my adorable Sato. Thanks, but that doesn't really make me feel better. Still, you must have stood out a lot in your time, huh? Yeah, I was taller than most adult men back then. From what I can remember, I think everyone found me a bit creepy. Sorry to hear that. It's not like you could help it. Well, they treat me like some kind of monster because of it. Most people straight up avoided me. That's awful. On the other hand, I do remember at least one person back then who kept trying to woo me. Who is that? Sounds like someone's jealous. Hey, I ain't the kind of guy who obsesses over his girlfriend's past. What's done is done. A nice line. I bet you've been wanting to say that one for ages. Still, I mean, you've been alive for so long. There's way too much history to worry about. Fair point. Honestly, I barely remember him myself. Although, I don't think I liked him all that much. He was just somebody important I couldn't say no to or something like that. Huh? Really? That's good to hear. The manic look in his eyes when he says that. At least as far as I can remember. Anyway, I thought you didn't care. Well, I guess you having so much more experience under your belt makes me feel a bit out of your league. I see. Well, I'm the one who confessed to you, so I guess we'd call it even for now. Right, that works for me. Not sure what's even exactly, but I'll take it. I really like this dialogue between them, even though we've only, like, seen their relationship for the past, like, 30 minutes. Like, I'm feeling it. Especially given all the knowledge we know about all the stuff that's been happening behind the scenes. I wasn't bought into it at the beginning, but you know what? I think you're doing a good job with this. And it's not too corny either. I think it's just right. Part of me wishes we'd made this plan much earlier, but maybe I needed this time for my feelings to reach their peak. Maybe this is just how it had to be. I think we made it just in time. I'll keep fighting this fate until the very end. I would have assumed he'd be thinking about tomorrow's plan. I never imagined he might be thinking about what comes after that. He's so sure we're going to succeed. Knowing that makes me feel so much more confident. To think that this is like the day before she, like this is like 2 days before she's supposed to die, and then tomorrow, that's where all the shit happens with Wakamura and the love triangle with Shotaro and Tsukasa, and then the killings, and then like everything. Like these were supposed to be her last 2 like happy days, and then everything went to shit. His easygoing attitude is actually reassuring right now. I'm so glad he's here with me. My heart won't stop racing. I've never felt this way before. I didn't think I could feel something new after living for 800 years. The fact he's an 800-year mortal too probably has something to do with it. With him I feel safe. There's nothing I'd be afraid to tell him. But that's not all there is to it. There are some people you could just know for decades and still not fall in love with them. And then there are those you know you can't live without barely a second after you met. Even a bond that's lasted centuries can fall apart in a single day. Love isn't measured by time. Maybe it's too much to say we're soulmates, but that's how it feels to me. Even Tsuyu's been saying we should just get married because we're clearly made for each other. Not that I told Yuza that. It'd be way too embarrassing. So Tsuyu told them both that. That's so funny. I don't want to say goodbye to Yuza. It feels like I've waited 800 years for him, and now a lot of things might be destroyed tomorrow. Everything the Islanders have been protecting, heck, even some relationships might crumble. But still, we're going to do it. We've made up our minds. We'll see our final wish through no matter what.
My apologies for the interruption. I simply wish to confirm your understanding of a certain point. Yuza Minakuchi and Sato Shiranami attempted in vain to hide their feelings for one another, and now they are hatching a plan. Considering how much you remembered already, I'm certain you'll recall this fact as well. So let me ask you, what can be done to intertwine 2 lives that were never meant to stay together? What can be done? Oh, it's a 3-part question. I don't like it when this Paranormasight 1 did this a couple times where they expect you to form a sentence, but they don't show you what the rest of the options are, so you're like, okay, where am I going with this sentence, right? Like I could guess where they're going, but sometimes the sentence goes in a different direction than what you're thinking. I'm like, well, it'd be nice to know what like the other options are gonna be. It's almost like I'm speaking without knowing what the end of my sentence is, so I sound like a fool. Okay, Yuza Minakuchi must once again, like I know it's trying to say that he wants to meet the mermaid, must momentarily must once again. Oh no, this I did bad. No, I see what they're trying to say. Be shaved bald. Okay, no, that's not right. I was gonna say Yuza Minakuchi must once again meet a mermaid, but that's not what they're looking for. They're looking for Sato Shiranami must once again be made immortal. That's what they're trying to say. Sato Shiranami must once again be made immortal, you say? That is correct, and you chose the right answer on your very first attempt. Well done indeed. Indeed, as there's no way to undo the curse of 800-year immortal. The only way for them to remain together would be to somehow obtain the flesh of a mermaid. They believe they have no choice but to make Sato Shiranami live for another 800 years. As such, the plan they hatched was to obtain a second helping of immortality. See, my question is, when did she learn that she needed the Tamatabako? Did she just remember? Because I think initially when they set out, they thought they only needed the mermaid flesh. But then somehow, I guess talking to Yumiko or getting her memories back, remembering her time with Tomoshige and how she must have eaten the mermaid flesh from the box, then she must have remembered. A truly radical concept. Such a method goes against the very laws of nature, but it is not my place to judge. Please enjoy the continuation of their story. But again, I feel like the storyteller just kind of interrupts the flow of the story every time. He just comes, blurts out a spoiler, or forces you to blurt out a spoiler, and then leaves. I told Azami about our plan to find a mermaid, and he agreed to help. We'll go diving tomorrow morning and hopefully find a clue. I'm so sorry I can't be more help. I just can't remember anything else.
But I'm sure there was a mermaid on Taishima.
Don't worry about it. At least now we know where to start the search. It really seems like my mom had some connection with mermaids though, huh?
Definitely. Suyu showed me that scale, and it really looks like it came from a mermaid. How strange would it be if it turned out your mom was actually a mermaid all along?
Yeah, but even I think that's a bit of a leap. If I start diving in the Southern Sea, people are bound to start talking about my mom again, which will give us a chance to hear more details we might not be aware of. That's the hope anyway. I tried to keep my head down as much as I could until now, but I couldn't stand idly by it anymore.
Lately, there's been talk around the island of ominous signs. Maybe that'll work in our favor.
You mean people are talking about the storm coming? Yeah, that could just be the push we need. Also, about the person you said you met today. Oh, right, she already met her by now. Yumiko Shiki from the Paranormal Affairs Bureau, was it? She definitely seems like she knows something.
Yeah, there's something suspicious about her. I think she didn't pay much attention to me because she knows I don't have much longer to live. But she apparently had the power to detect immortals, and when she finds them, she locks them up somewhere.
They've been watching me too, so they might already have their suspicions. I'll be careful. It's pretty wild to think we're being hunted by government authorities, though. I guess people like us really can't be allowed to exist.
I don't think they'd be too happy about us searching for mermaid flesh either.
It'd be great if we could somehow get some information out of them.
That might be difficult. We don't even know if they're coming back to Kamishima tomorrow.
True. I guess we could always go to the mainland.
Yuza.
Yeah?
Do we really have to be so secretive about it? Couldn't we tell Tsukasa and Azami everything and ask them to help us?
It's not that I don't trust them, because I do. It's just that the more people there are that know a secret, the more likely it is to come out. If people find out there's a way to become immortal, it would cause a total uproar. Even the police would be after us then. Heck, every person who wants to live forever would be looking for us. We can't force Azami and Tsukasa to get caught up in that.
You're right. If anyone's gonna get locked up, it should just be us.
Exactly. That's why we should keep our mermaid search as quiet as possible. Besides, if we told anyone else, it'd be harder to keep the fact you're an immortal girl hidden.
But it won't it all come out when the police come around asking questions? I guess I could just play dumb and pretend I don't know anything until they come up with some solid evidence. We probably shouldn't let people know about us either. It'd just make it harder for us to continue our search.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Let's try and stay apart as much as possible from tomorrow, just to be safe. As of now, I doubt anyone knows about our relationship.
Yeah, I'm sure no one has caught on yet.
Let's avoid all unnecessary contact while we each continue searching for mermaid flesh on our own. We can set specific times to meet up and share information. We'll have to make sure no one sees us together.
Right, I'll avoid interacting with you in public.
But if we need to contact each other in an emergency, we can leave some kind of signal at a place we often walk by.
Oh, I know. I'll leave this Kameshi Maru keychain in front of the town clock.
Oh, that's what that was about. If you see it there, do you think you can come to the roof of the Kantakisho?
Oh, that's the one I gave you. Okay, Kameshi Maru could be our go-between.
Well, I guess that gives us 2 days to find what we need. I know it'll take a miracle, but we can't give up.
Right.
Okay, so we've already done that. Check. But nothing else is... Am I supposed to go back to that part? Which part was it when... Like, this is the part where she... No, it's the part where she meets up with Yumiko. But was that during Yumiko's... Was it here? No, this was... No, this was... the confrontation. Oh, was it? No, this part wasn't used. Wait, maybe it's Arnav's part? When did she meet with them? I thought it was during Yumiko's storyline, but I don't think it was... It's the part where we tell Tsukasa to stay behind. Oh, point of contact. Sato runs into Yumiko and Soto again and exchange information on how to break the curse of raging waves. Sato and Tsukasa split up, with one going to search Yuza, a descendant of Taishima, and the others remaining behind as point of contact. Okay, this is where it happens, but this area is grayed out. Now, I think this one's highlighted only because I can change the idea. Ended with Sato in possession of Tamatabako. I think she needs to end with it. Maybe I need to do something else here. Hello? Is anyone home? Who am I kidding? I know no one's here. It has to do with this, right? This wasn't checkmarked last time. It's an altar shelf. Buddhist objects and keepsakes are neatly arranged on it. It also has something Suyu once showed me. Here it is. There's something about it, but I can't put my finger on what. It really is just as beautiful as ever. I shouldn't just take it, so let me put it back on the shelf where it belongs. Wait, she says something different. It's the strange fish scale Mari left behind. She didn't say that last time, right? Yeah, that's different. There's something about it, but I can't put my finger on what. It really is just as beautiful as ever. I shouldn't just take it. Okay, I'm here. The thing is that this part was checked off. Wait. You know what, maybe I will try this one. Maybe because it's the true ending, it's not like marked on the guide or on the story chart. Kind of like in the first game, they didn't mark it directly. There really should be like a fast text option or something. Like, just hold down the shoulder button and let the text scroll by. Or something like that. Yeah, this is the town clock. Ah! Sato, something wrong? Oh no, it's just there's a Kameshi Maru keychain lying on the ground here. Ah, you're right. Who just chucked the poor thing out here? Yeah, I almost missed it. I'll rescue it. If we really want to do something about the Curse of the Raging Waves, maybe we can rely on those two. Although honestly, they do scare me a little. Wait, you're not gonna do anything with the Kameshi Maru keychain? What do I do with it now? I have it. What am I gonna do with it? Okay. I thought she would immediately say something different, but she didn't. Okay, you know what? I'll bite. I'll look it up. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I'm sure, just like the previous game, it's just like, I'm sure the clues are there, but it's just like, it's gonna take time to like sift through trial and error things. I just don't have time for that. Okay, let's see. Follow these exact actions in order. If you skip a step, the title screen sequence will not trigger. Point of contact. Okay, first step. Point of contact, Sato's story. Look at the ground behind Sato and pick up the Kameshi Maru keychain. This designates Tsukasa as the contact person. Wait, so if I don't pick up the keychain, then I can't pick Tsukasa as the contact person? Then who would have been? Soto? Yumiko? Wait. I never would have figured this one out. Okay, step 2. Scroll to the very bottom of your save slots and load the memory. Oh, this one's different. How would I have thought to look there? Sure, there must be a clue about that somewhere, but Like, how would I have known to do that? What if, can I save over the slot? Like, what if I save over it? I guess you can't save over top of it, right? Can I save over top of it? Let's see. Oh yeah, it doesn't exist. See, I wouldn't have known either because I only ever check the save screen. I never check the load screen because I never load. There must be some kind of clue that points you here, but how would I have known this? Okay, I never would have gotten that one. Okay, load. Never would have gotten this.
I still have that message you left me, you know.
Wait, you do? But it must have dried up ages ago.
Thoughts I wove into it should have faded, too. Surely you can't hear the message anymore.
I don't know who's talking, so...
Yep, I can't hear a word. That doesn't matter. It's an important memento, and a part of you as well. That's enough for me to treasure it.
Come on, you're gonna make me blush.
I was really happy when you shared this with me all that time ago.
Well, you know.
I can't just show myself in front of anyone, can I?
Memories.
Is there really no way to hear the message again after it's dried up? If you found a way to return it to the environment of the eternal world, it will be restored to its original state. You might be able to hear it then.
Oh, you could do that?
Using the Tamachabako would probably do it. Oh, but I don't think a normal human would be able to hear the message anymore. Sorry, I guess it's impossible after all.
Oh, that's too bad.
Ah, but if you were a spirit, you might be able to hear it by retracing the echo it left in your mind.
Wait, wouldn't I have to be dead for that? That's a no-go then. Oh, is it because when Yuza died and got his head chopped off, that became me. He technically died and I became a spirit that is guiding him. Spirit means that I can go to Ryugu, right?
These memories, could they belong to a mermaid?
See, the thing I also don't like about this too is because in the first Paranormasight, there was like a fair amount of fourth wall breaking. Like, it wasn't overzealous, but it definitely existed, and the game made sure that you knew it existed from early on. Here, this game hasn't really had very many, if at all, fourth wall breaking stuff, other than just transferring information between characters or the storyteller coming out and telling us things. So, for the final puzzle to make us do something outside the fourth wall, if I played this game and I had not played the first game, I don't think anyone would have any clue, because they'd be like, assuming that they have to find some kind of path in the story here and make a decision. So, having to go to your load screen and load a cryptic message sounds like something only someone who had played the first game would be able to even start to think about or even consider. And someone who has only played the second game wouldn't have even the faintest idea that would even be on the table, I feel. So I feel like that one's a little, Paris, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for following me and being a froggy friend. Welcome in. Okay, step 3. Okay, now we go to claim. Check the altar shelf to find the scale. Put it in the Tamachabako. Open the chat log to read the hidden rules.
Hello, is anyone home? Who am I kidding? I know no one's here. It's an altar shelf. Buddhist objects and keepsakes are neatly arranged on it. It also has something Suyu once showed me. Here it is. There's something about it, but I can't put my finger on what. What should I do with it?
Put it in the Tamachabako.
Maybe something will happen if I put this in the Tamachabako. Okay, it's in.
I'm sure that if I kept, like, floundering around, and I'm sure the storyteller might have been able to give me more hints, like if I go back to the conclusion chapter and end off and ask for more hints. But I feel like that at that point, what would he say? He's just like, I wonder if you should check something on the menu, or something like that. Like, he's usually fairly direct with his hints too, which I don't like.
Nothing happened. Darn.
Oh. Oh, see? Oh, that's why. Because the memory said that a human probably can't hear my voice. So something happened, but I couldn't hear it because it was a voice.
Hello, Mare, can you hear me? I tried to weave my thoughts into the scale to leave you a message. I hope it reaches you. Listen, I came up with a secret signal for when you need to call me. From now on, if you don't use the signal, I won't respond, so be careful. You need to call me 4 times, leaving at least 3 seconds between each. That's the rule. Don't forget. It's a promise just between you and me. Let's wait a little longer. Nope, still nothing. Seems like nothing changed. Let's put it back on the shelf where it belongs.
Okay, so she said to call out to her 4 times, waiting exactly 3 seconds between. So now you have to go back to the title screen. Okay, so there's a mermaid on the title screen. I have to click on her, and I need to wait 3 seconds between each click. 4 times. Okay. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. 3 Mississippi. 2. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. 3 Mississippi. 3. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. 3 Mississippi. 4. Oh!
Oh, you know that signal, do you? That signal is extremely important to me. I won't allow just anyone to use it, least of all on some childish whim. So first, I have to be sure. Who are you?
So I think this is the way, like, the game's asking me if I figured out the identity of who I am, kind of like how the storyteller did for the first game. Do I just have to put Yuza? Do I have to put his last name? I think I should be fine.
Ah, Yuza. So you do know. Allow me to welcome you, Yuza Minakuchi, or rather, Yuza Minakuchi's severed consciousness. I am the mermaid called Sobe. You passed through here 6 times now. I suppose it's not that strange that you noticed me.
That's interesting. She counted the number of times I've come to the title screen. I've streamed this game 5 times, and I opened up the game once before the first stream to make sure that it was working. So that's 6 times.
This is the place you humans call Ryugu. Though I hear it's also things like the eternal world and the world beyond. Feel free to call it what you like. Whatever the name, it's one of the many worlds that the souls of the departed move on after life.
So that's why the title screen is here, because my severed mind is in Ryugu. Like, it's kind of neat, but at the same time it's a little obtuse, but I'll take it.
Well, I suppose that's not entirely accurate. The space we're in now serves more as its boundary than anything else. There's something I always thought to talk to you about. Something I had to talk to you about if we ever happened to meet. Though I never thought you'd come seek me out like this in the form you are now. But it seems you have your own reasons for doing so. You wish to speak with me, yes. So what shall we talk about first? What do you mean by boundary? How to explain? This is a space that connects the 2 worlds you could travel between. The world the living Yuza Minakuchi inhabits, and the world that you, a severed portion of Yuza Minakuchi's consciousness, usually exist in. As a spirit, you always pass through this space when traveling to the world of living.
So it's kind of like I'm me, the player, am traveling from my world into Yuza's world. That's what she's trying to say.
Normally something like this would be unthinkable, if not impossible. But it seems you're something of an exception. Was there anything else? You're asking if Mare and I were friends. I'm only going to say this once. You might be Mare's son, but I won't stand for you intruding upon our relationship. The relationship Mare and I had can't be described so simple as the word as friends. This isn't the only world that the souls of the dead journey to after life, you know. Their number is immeasurable. There are worlds beyond counting. Mare's soul has gone somewhere far, far away. Even here in Ryugu, I won't be able to see her again, so don't ask me anymore. Leave me to my memories of her. Was there anything else? What happened on the day of the disaster? Yes, of course you'd want to know about that. I do owe you an explanation of what happened back then. 5 years ago, on the day the calamity struck. Let's get this out of the way first. I was indeed the one who made you an 800-year immortal. But if you come here looking for a way to regain your humanity, I'm sorry, but that's no longer possible. Even as a mermaid, there's nothing I could do. You, or rather the Yuza Minakuchi of the mortal world, are now bound to live out the remaining 795 years of your life there, neither aging nor dying. Nothing can reverse this now. Now then, let me tell you what happened on that day 5 years ago, and about the years leading up to it.
This is gonna be a long story, oh my goodness. One of the 3 mermaids who were said to have lived near Taishima about 400 years ago, she has since returned to her home Ryugu. Mare and Sobe. After being unable to return to Ryugu, Sobe had ceased to show herself on the surface, even before members of the Somakawa line. However, upon noticing that 400 years had passed since the sinking of Taishima, she cautiously attempted to contact with the current generation's inheritor of the family duty, a woman by the name of Mare Somakawa. In the past, any humans she encountered had either treated her as an object of worship or sought her flesh. Perhaps as a result, she immediately sensed something was different about Mare, who treated her with friendly manner from the moment of their meeting and promised to do all she could to return her to Ryugu. There was no pretense in Mare's bearing, and her attitude when speaking to Sobe was casual and lighthearted. Gradually, Sobe began to open up to her. After some time, they agreed on a secret signal and began meeting surreptitiously, growing closer the more they learned about each other. A strange sense of trust came to blossom between them, one transcending the boundaries of their respective species. This scroll bar is so small. This is such a long story. I don't really like when this game dumps like really long lore entries on us like this. It takes away from the event that's taking place at the time. Mare had originally resolved to remain single and never start a family of her own in order to devote herself entirely to her duty with Sobe. However, Sobe strongly opposed this, saying that Mare's life here would continue even when she was gone, so Mare should not deny herself a possible future with her own family. She had seen how happy one of her former compatriots had been upon finding love, and believed Mare deserved to know such joy as well, if she wished to. Mare seemed unbothered at the thought, but said that she would consider it if someone suitable ended up coming along. However, that moment came sooner than expected. Upon moving to Kamishima, she met the love of her life, Tosuke Minakuchi. Sobe was delighted for Mare and offered her heartfelt congratulations upon learning of their marriage. While she did not understand the joy of having a family herself, she was gratified to see Mare so happy. It was Mare's constant wish to be able to introduce her beloved family to her dearest friend, but it was forbidden to reveal the existence of mermaids to anyone, even her husband and child. Eventually, the two reached a compromise. Sobe said she would meet them when the time came for her to return to Ryugu, reasoning that there would be no harm in revealing herself for such a short space of time. This agreement became a cherished promise between them. Thus did the years continue to pass, Mare's son growing all the while until the day of the Kamishima Southern Sea disaster arrived. The Southern Sea disaster. In the days leading up to the disaster, a strange rumbling could be heard from the sea. Sobe took this as a sign that the storm caused by the curse of the raging waves was approaching, and she and Mare mistakenly concluded this meant that the seal on Ryugu's entrance would soon be lifted. Although the timing was earlier than expected, the two were overcome with excitement at the thought that Sobe could finally fulfill her long-held dream of returning home, and couldn't bring themselves to doubt the signs. They put together a plan. Even if the storm were to come while they're out at sea, Mare could use the bronze mirror to suppress it, allowing Sobe to pass through the entrance to Ryugu alone. Resolved that this was where they would part ways, the two spent that final night together talking until the sun rose. On the day their plan would be put into action, Mare took Tosuke and Yuza out onto the bay on a boat to introduce them to Sobe as promised. Although pained by having to part with Sobe, she was buoyed by the thought she would now be able to devote herself fully to motherhood and to her family that always protected her without reservation. Sobe, meanwhile, was secretly trailing them from the seabed. Disliking the sound of propellers, she was unable to get close to the boat as it was moving. The raging storm. The storm that suddenly broke out around them far exceeded all expectations. Even the bronze mirror was not enough to calm it, and the sea churned and roiled around them as if the heavens themselves were unleashing their wrath. The small fishing boat carrying the Minakuchi family began to take on water, and it was not long before it started to sink. Sobe immediately rushed to their aid, reaching them just as they had fitted Yusa with a life buoy and gotten him off the boat. The couple still clung desperately to the sinking boat as it was tossed by the waves. Upon seeing Sobe, Tosuke's reaction was surprisingly composed. Whether already resolved to meet his fate or just mellowed by nature, his first response after Mari introduced her was to greet her cheerfully, thanking her for keeping Mari company and expressing surprise that Mari's faraway friend had turned out not to be human. Sobe, however, had no time for pleasantries. Consumed only by the thought of getting them to safety, she tried to carry them all from the boat, but even a single person proved to be too much for her. Naturally, she also lacked the strength needed to tow the boat out of danger. Even her nature as a mermaid wasn't enough to allow her to save someone precious to her when it mattered most. Filled with distress at her own powerlessness, Sobe was overcome by a sense of despair. Frantic, she tried to take only Mari with her in a bid to escape the sinking boat, but Mari rebuffed her attempt. She had no intention of being the only one saved. Instead, she and Tosuke pleaded for Sobe to help Yusa, saying that his survival meant more to them than anything else. Sobe could not understand. She refused to. She prepared herself to bid farewell to Mari, but parting like this was too painful for her to bear. Mari, for her part, continued apologizing to Sobe, despite the looming threat of her own death, concerned for her friend's safety and feeling deep regret at being unable to see Sobe back home. It was more than Sobe could stand. At that moment, Sobe's innermost feelings came into sharp relief. Part of her deep down resented Yusa and Tosuke with all her being. She was happy as long as she had Mari, but Mari had her family to love as well. Yet it was Sobe herself who had wished for Mari to find happiness by starting a family of her own. Overwhelmed by unfamiliar emotions of conflict and self-loathing, she found herself unable to think clearly. Smiling as she clung to the sinking boat, half submerged in seawater, Mari thanked Sobe for her friendship and told her that the days they spent together had been some of her happiest. Sobe was devastated. Every part of her rejected the entire situation. She didn't want to hear Mari bid farewell to her like this. She didn't want to part with Mari at all. She wanted to grab hold of her friend and carry her away to safety by force if necessary. Even returning home to Ryugu no longer mattered to her as much as this, but she couldn't ignore Mari's plea for her to save her son. Wrenching herself away from the sinking boat, Sobe headed to rescue Yusa, all the while resenting the boy for the tremendous love that Mari bore him. 800-year immortal. When she found Yusa, he had been caught up in a whirlpool and was barely clinging to life. Sobe caught herself feeling almost satisfied at the sight, thinking it served him right. If it hadn't been for Yusa, she could have saved Mari. But Mari's plea for her to save Yusa, and their only wish was for him to survive, echoed in Sobe's mind. In the next moment, she dragged the dying Yusa out of the whirlpool, pulling a piece of her own tail, forcibly fed it to him. Whether the emotions driving her at this point were a desire to fulfill Mari's wish or hatred towards Yusa, even Sobe herself couldn't say. After carrying Yusa out of reach of the storm, Sobe immediately went to rescue Mari. She finally found her after 3 long days of searching, but her efforts had been in vain. Mari's body was already cold. Once someone had died, it was beyond even a mermaid's power to bring them back. Sobe clung to Mari's body and wept. Never again would she hear Mari's voice calling her name. She laid Mari's body to rest on the seabed, and hiding herself beside it, spent her days mourning, lost in the depths of despair. Did it not occur to her to turn Mari into an immortal as well? I guess not. Or maybe Mari didn't want to. Several years later, the entrance to Ryugu was unsealed, and Sobe, now with no remaining attachment to the mortal world, made to return home by herself. Before doing so, she met with Mari's sister, thinking to reclaim the mermaid's relic from her. However, put off by the woman's blatant avarice, she found herself unable to muster any interest in her, and ultimately returned without reclaiming the relic, despite knowing full well the misfortune it could bring. Looking back now, what I did to you was wrong. It was an extreme situation, yes, but I must have been mad to even consider it. Every time I remember, I wonder what on earth I was thinking. How could I have done something so cruel to the son Mari loved so much? I mean, that's true. She sees immortality as a curse, so she didn't want to curse Mari. And doing it to Yusa was out of both anger and also wanting to honor Mari's wishes at the same time. Even though nothing that happened was your fault, I don't expect you to forgive me, but let me at least say this. I'm sorry. I would do anything within my power to ease your burden. Well, Luckily for you, there's something you could do.
What? You want a piece of my flesh? But why? I suppose it's not impossible. You could bring it back to the mortal world using the relic I left there. Normally this would be forbidden, but I suppose I was the cause of all this. Maybe it counts as an attempt at making amends, if nothing else. There. It's done. I'll send it to the other side. You'll be able to take it from the box there.
I mean, they did say that the Tamate Bako has a link to Ryugu, but does that mean she's just able to, like, send things through it? Like some kind of expedited postal service? It's almost like some of the, like, you know how some RPGs have, like, shared item boxes, and sometimes they come up with some magic mumbo-jumbo that explains how you're able to use it? Like Paper Mario 1, they do that, I think, for your inventory. It's like, oh, you can put this in the box, you can save it for later. These boxes have been, like, magically linked, or something like that. The mermaid flesh has been transferred to the Tamate Bako. The current holder of the box may claim it as their own from the evening of August 7th.
It seems you've done everything you came to do. Then this is where we part ways. Know that I won't respond anymore, even if you call to me with that signal. Having a means of calling me was prohibited in the first place. Live and be happy, Yuza, for Mari's sake, for all the years she never got to see. Be sure to tell him that when you return to him in the mortal world.
Oh, see, I guess if you want to go here, then this is how you go ask the storyteller for more hints. You just go back to him and keep asking for hints. But now I have to fast forward through all the sad text. Come on, it'd just be nice if I just skip straight to the decision. Oh, here. Come on, please tell me there's some way to change this. Well, I can't even pick the bad option anymore. Actually.
She's gonna be okay. Huh? Sorry, I've been keeping this a secret, but...
There we go. So this takes place after the Memories of Summer.
Yuza Minakuchi has done everything he must do. All that's left is to see out the end.
Storyteller, stop ruining the emotional moments in the game. All of your efforts have been truly remarkable. The fact you are seeing this means all of Yuza Minakuchi's wishes have been fulfilled. You have overcome countless hardships and resolved every dilemma. Congratulations! Now then, as you may be confused as to what exactly has transpired, please allow me to explain. Let me just summarize everything that you just went through in case you didn't know. Yuza Minakuchi's true objective was to obtain the flesh of a mermaid. It was to fulfill his oath of making Sato Shiranami immortal again before her imminent demise, that they might live 800 more years together. However, who could have expected multiple curses to strike Kamishima at the very same time? Yes, I'm referring to the Curse of the Raging Waves, born 4 centuries ago, and the Curse of Tomoshige, which have built up over 800 years. I feel like him telling me all this is like an affront to my intelligence. He's like, yeah, you've made it this far, which means you obviously either figured it out or looked up a guide. Let me re-summarize everything for you and spell it out to you like as if you're a baby. Like, it's not even that complicated. Like, I think, like, if he was trying to explain Umineko to me at the end, I'd be like, okay, sure. Because that is really complicated. Even if you understand what's going on, there's still a lot of complexity to it. But here it's just like, it's actually fairly straightforward. Well, such calamities would appear to offer naught but misfortune. As luck would have it, these curses were blessings in disguise. They led Yuza Minakuchi down a path that would otherwise not have been possible. One could very well call it a miracle. The key to all this was, of course, your efforts. Now, shall I describe each pivotal event of the story in its order of occurrence? Or I shall describe each pivotal event of the story in order of its occurrence. In my brain I read it as, shall I describe? Because I was like, no, I was gonna say no. One fated day, August 7th, Yuza Minakuchi went diving and searched Kamishima for leads to find mermaids. However, that night, Kippei Ikoma sent Kikuko Tsutsui as an assassin to cause the tragedy of Kamishima, thereby allowing him to capture Sato. This shifted Yuza Minakuchi's priorities away from his search for mermaid flesh, as he is tragically killed and his mission ends in failure. It would seem that fulfilling his wishes was never in the cards, and he instead met with a terrible fate. However, the consciousness lingering within his severed head witnessed something inexplicable. That's right, we did see the POV of his head hitting the floor. It was the sight of his 800-year immortal body regenerating a new head. This animation's so silly. With that, a new mind, complete with all the memories intact, formed inside the regenerated head of the resurrected Yuza Minakuchi. The severed head then disappeared, yet the consciousness that had remained within it did not return to his body. Rather, it became a spirit that crossed over to the afterlife, what some may call the eternal world. Thus was another consciousness separate from Yuza Minakuchi's primary body formed. And that separated consciousness was you. You once asked, who am I? But may I assume the answers now become clear. This separate consciousness of Yuza Minakuchi remained in the eternal world despite the firm resolve it held, growing ever more anguished over its failure without knowing what had occurred afterwards. It dearly desired to find a way to return to its past self and explain the situation before this failure could take place. So it found its way to the boundary between the mortal world and the world beyond. That is to say, it found its way here, to Ryugu. This is the place you laid eyes upon at the very beginning. This is where your duty began. The fact this place just so happens to be where the mermaids reside turned out to be a stroke of luck. But because you would lose all memory of this fact once you passed through the gate into the mortal world, I stepped in to humbly guide you along your path. Then as a spirit, you encountered Yuza Minakuchi during his dive to the bottom of the sea. But the thing is, like, we fast-forwarded through the tragedy, and then went back and saw the Tomokazuki before we witnessed the head being severed. Like, yeah, the head got severed off-screen because we quickly flash-forwarded through all the massacre scenes. I guess that's why they did that, to hide this fact from us. Because you resembled a phenomenon known as the Tomokazuki, you were referred to as such. Needless to say, you are not a Tomokazuki. Yet, that is how you possessed Yuza Minakuchi and shared your fragmented memories with him. Even so, it was not enough. In your spirit form, you had the ability to use the story chart, and travel across space and time to possess other individuals. This part they don't explain. They're just like, oh yeah, you're a spirit, so, you know, you can possess other people and travel across story charts. Just accept that fact. You entered the minds and memories of various people, jumping between them in turn as you earnestly sought to realize your goals. And that is how things progressed behind the scenes during this story. That part, I think, is a poor explanation. Just the part about being able to jump timelines. Because that wasn't really established properly, I feel. Like, yeah, they kind of mentioned that spirits don't really follow the same rules and they can do mumbo-jumbo, whatever. I feel like in the first game, their explanation for the player at least made sense on all fronts, but here it just feels like they shoehorn that part in. You fulfilled your role and will now return to the world from whence you came. After you have viewed what became of everyone following these events, this Paranormasight will finally draw to a close. Thank you very much for your diligent attention. The word Paranormasight is so weird to me because when I first heard the name, I didn't know what this game was. I think someone rated it into me a long time ago and was like, we were just playing Paranormasight. And when I first hear the word Paranormasight, the first thing I think of is that movie Paranorman. And I never watched that movie, but I know what the characters look like. And I was like, wait, so it's like a comedy, like, I don't remember if it's DreamWorks, but like comedy, like Pixar DreamWorks animation movie with like a dark sense of humor or something like that. Like I had no idea what it was. And now even to this day, whenever I hear the word Paranormasight, the first thing that comes to mind is Paranorman. It's also just a mouthful to say because, like, the names of the games are kind of long. Like, the Seven Mysteries of Honjo is really long to say alongside Paranormasight.
Oh, so you decided to accept your inheritance, but you're going to university first. Uh-huh, the wheels are in motion for me to take over the family business after studying real hard at university. Your whole life must be undergoing some major changes. Are you managing okay? You don't have too much on your plate. Actually, about that. Get this, turns out my ma used to be a certified public accountant. I had no idea. Anyway, the plan's for ma to manage all the assets while I was studying my butt off. She was apparently waiting like a hawk for the moment to swoop in and make sure you got everything coming to you. I don't know if I should call her cunning, but Tsukasa's mom sure knows how to get things done. That's wild. Oh, that reminds me. There was something I want to ask you, Azami. Huh? You mentioned wanting to ask Tsukasa out the other day, so how'd that go? Whoa, Sato, you're seriously gonna ask that right after in front of everyone? Jeez. I mean, I guess it's fine since I already asked her, but that could have ruined everything. Wait, you did? When did this all go down? Yeah, when did this happen? All off-screen. Another off-screen romance that we were not privy to. Oh, I couldn't help myself. I've been dying to know. I had to ask, even if it messed up your mojo. You sure are something else, Sato. Anyway, if you need answers that bad, you should ask Tsukasa. So what'd you say, Tsukasa? How'd he ask? Where was it? Tell us already. You're way too invested, Miss Encyclopedia. You know how things are with me right now. The truth is, I haven't given him an answer yet. Oh, but at least it's not an outright rejection. How long are you gonna make him wait? I gotta do some soul searching to figure out how I feel, and I need everything to settle down, so around 4 or 5 years. That long? You're gonna keep leading the poor guy along all that time? Right? And to top things off, she asked for my help in the meantime. Your help? Yep. I want to take over Old Man Wakamura and make Kamishima the best place it could be. I want it to be way more convenient and bustling than it is now, an island that tourists flock to, you know? That means I'll need to start a business to manage that. As you can see, I got loads of stuff to do. That's why I need you to give it all your all as the leader of Kamishima, Azami. Yeah, I guess I want all that stuff for Kamishima too. That sounds great, and Azami will definitely be a big help. My plan is to have Azami rise up the ranks and help me out a whole bunch of stuff. Once he becomes a big shot like the mayor or something, then maybe we can start going out. What? That'll take way too long. I'll be an old geezer by then. See what I mean? This is what I have to deal with. Seems like that cunningness runs in the family. I'm not sure if this is the best ending for Azami. I'm sure he ends up with Tsukasa eventually, but I don't know. It seems kind of like, I think it's totally understandable for her to say that I need time to figure this out. There's a lot going on right now. But then for her to be like, okay, wait 4 or 5 years and lead him on is kind of mean. Well, you got something to strive for now. Good luck with it. Quit your belly aching, Azami. We're doing this for Sato and Yuza too, you know. Yeah, I know. We talked it all over before. What do you mean, what you're doing for us? Let's just say we were surprised when we heard about you guys the other night. Ah. About how you became an immortal yourself 5 years ago, yeah? At that stage, you secretly gotten your hands on some mermaid flesh for Sato. And now Sato's become immortal for the second time. Add the fact you guys have decided to stay together for the next 800 years, it was a lot to swallow all at once. Yeah, sorry for dropping such a big bombshell on you guys. Also, to be precise, we're gonna be together for the next 795 years. What's 5 years got when you got centuries? 5 years is a long time. Yeah, he's right. And we're gonna discuss the idea of going for another 800 years when we get close to the end. Wait, so you guys are really plotting to get another piece of mermaid flesh after the next 800 years again? Aren't you getting a little too greedy by that point? Yeah, okay, whatever. That's up to you guys. Do whatever you want. Don't forget, you owe us for keeping such a big secret from us the whole time. Got it? For real. See, I told you we should have gotten the advice from the start. Yeah, you've been saying that from the get-go. Yuki the Oni, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for coming by. Thank you so much for the raid. Hope you guys are all doing well. Please go check out Yuki the Oni when you get a chance. A really cool streamer and artist. Hope you guys are all doing well today. Please follow them on all their social media when you get a chance. Welcome in. Unknown, welcome in. And I'm Sinchi. Hello. You guys are playing some Splatoon 3. That sounds like fun. I hope you had a good time. Hope you had a great stream. I'm Kiro, the frog-themed martial artist. We are playing
Paranormasight, The Mermaid's Curse, which is a game that just came out last week. We are right at the end of the game. Like, big spoilers ahead. So if you don't want to be spoiled about the game, this is your warning. Thank you so much for coming by. Feel free to sit back and relax with us, or go take care of yourself after your stream. I appreciate you being here.
I know you said you'd live on the down low in Kamishima because it'd be a whole other thing if people found out about you two, but people will eventually start getting suspicious even if you try to lead normal lives. What are you gonna do then? Well, we kinda assumed it would all work out somehow. It's true, we haven't really thought about that at all. Yeah, thanks for coming by, Yuki. Take care, we'll catch you next time. We figured as much. That's why we're gonna protect the two of you. Huh? We'll make some rules on the island so no one will get suspicious of you no matter how long you choose to live. I mean, it's gonna take some time to put our plan to action, but I'm sure we'll be calling the shots around here by the time people start thinking there's something fishy going on with you guys. I was thinking we could build a shrine for you two to live up in the mountains. Oh, a shrine. That sounds incredible.
Okay, but what about the part where they said that if Yuza leaves the island, he'll be captured unless he becomes a paranormal affairs person?
We could say gods are enshrined there so people shouldn't go near it without permission.
And then I'll make sure the descendants of the Kamui family are protectors of the shrine all the way down to the family line, so they'll always protect you. Damn, Asami is such a good best friend. The Somakawa family managed to pass down their legend for 400 years, so I bet my family could handle a shrine for 800 years or so.
That's so thoughtful, but I kind of feel bad for making you guys worry so much. Not to mention several generations of your family.
That's totally fine, don't mention it.
Nothing makes me happier than seeing you and Sato together like this.
I know you went through a lot to get to this point, Yuza. I'm really happy for you.
Asami. I'm seriously so happy for you, like, seriously overjoyed. You heard the man, that's why we won't let anyone get in the way of all this happiness. Asami, Tsukasa, thank you both so much. Oh, Tsukasa, the fact you think up all these plans just for us means the world to me.
Well, there was one other reason. Yuza's never been the type to look before he leaps, so we have to be around to make sure he doesn't get into any more trouble.
Good point.
Hey, that's not true. You're the one who always got me into messes, Azami.
Nope, you're both wrong. You have any idea how much apologizing I've had to do for you guys over the years? Oh, but you gotta make it up to me now. I'm gonna work you both to the bone. You too, Sato. We're gonna put Kamishima on the map. You got it. Just tell me what to do. Let's all keep getting each other into and out of trouble from here on out.
So, clearly she turned down Shotaro, but they didn't even mention him here.
There is a legend in Kamishima. It is a story passed down through the generations about two gods in the guise of a young man and a young woman. They would often leave their shrine disguised as ordinary humans and happily stroll through the town. On occasion, they would sneak off the island and travel around the country before returning home.
Oh no, you don't want Shotaro. You must have missed the part in the stream where we found out he was not a good person.
The people of the island would stop and give a small bow whenever they came across the couple, and silently watch as they went on their way. It is said that this mischievously playful and intimately harmonious couple would always look upon one another with pure joy. There was apparently only one inviolable rule concerning the pair. One must never sneak up and startle them from behind. Several decades after those events, the country has seen 2 new emperors reign, and people with any detailed knowledge of those fateful days have grown few and far between. Now, the Kantakisho ruins of Kamishima have become a sacred place for lovers, with couples flocking to it to strengthen their bonds. On this day, the young visitors who happened to come see the sights spotted a young man and a young woman together on the roof of the Kantakisho ruins, gazing happily out to sea.
I have a lot to say about this game, but I would normally say it now during the credits, but we still have a little bit more to do after this, so I'm gonna talk after that. But I think most of my thoughts I've been making known as we've been playing. I'll probably forget when I summarize it, but... cool that they have all these like historical places that they visited for research and stuff though, and like tourism for the actual locations. Hey Sheena, welcome to the stream. Okay, so we're not done with the game yet. We've gotten endings 1, 4, 5, and 6. And I thought that maybe we just missed something from like endings 2 and 3. And the answer is yes and no. So I found this out while I was looking up how to do that true ending like about an hour ago. Turns out the ending 2 and 3, most people you probably can't even get until after you get ending 5 at least. Which means you have to be pretty deep into it. by then. Which feels kind of weird considering they're number 2 and 3. I mean, I guess they, like Paranormasight 1, they want ending 6 to be like the true ending and ending 5 to be like the almost true ending but bad. So it's kind of weird that they did it like this. So, you might recall that to get the good ending, the best ending, we got the mermaid flesh from the Tamatabako, right? Because that works because Sato was in possession of the Tamatabako. What if she wasn't? Which unfortunately means we need to click through all this dialogue that we don't need to read again. Okay, so just like before, we need to make sure that she fails here. So she's trying to convince Arnav to give her the Tamate Bako. So first, let's deny. I actually went through these same options before. Okay, I want to thank one. So she tells him that she wants to find a mermaid, to thank the mermaid, and then he goes, well, mermaids don't exist anymore. We found out that they don't exist anymore. Okay, bye. Okay, so they leave. Mission failed. So now that means Arnav is in possession of the Tamatabako. An exciting Iseshima adventure. Abby and Cersei managed to keep the Tamatabako safely in their possession and leave Kamishima to search for Kipe Koma. So this path didn't appear last time because we had not made it to the ending 5 yet. Or rather, we have not gotten to the part where we talk to Sobe. And so, Cersei and Abby make their way back to Toba in search of Kipe Koma.
Who are you talking to?
Feels more exciting this way, doesn't it?
You might be right. But it seems like we just missed him.
Even though he claimed he's afraid of the ocean. The people at the port said he left for Kamishima on a chartered boat.
There are no more ferries today, so you have no way of getting back to the island.
I'm afraid there's not much else we could do. Well, as long as we got the Tamatabako, there might be another chance someday. Again, the way they just put the PNG of it on top of his hand makes the Tamatabako look so small, but I'm pretty sure it's not that small. Huh? Cersei, what's wrong?
I don't know, but the Tamatabako's giving off a strange spiritual energy.
Oh, I did notice it felt a bit heavier than before. Let's take a look. Huh? There's something inside.
Huh? Something just appeared inside.
What's this? A chunk of flesh. My goodness! Could this belong to a mermaid?
Wait, what? Is it real? It exudes an incredible spirit energy. Whatever it is, it's extraordinary. Doesn't this feel too good to be true, though? It could be a trap. Or curse.
Ah, I actually found it! The gods haven't forsaken me at all! Thank you, world. I accept your gracious offering.
Yeesh, are you seriously gonna eat a chunk of mystery meat just like that? What's wrong with you? Well?
Not particularly good. Very watery. Not much fat. No real texture. But it's not too fishy, so fried Minigame style, it might not be half bad.
That's all well and good, but I wasn't asking about the taste. I'm not planning on trying any. How do you feel? Is immortality setting in?
I don't feel any different.
Want me to stab you or something?
Whoa, slow down. What if it didn't work? I just suffer a painful skewering for nothing.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure painful things will still hurt you even when you're immortal. As far as I understand it, an immortal body doesn't regenerate unless you're fatally wounded.
In that case, I must politely decline. I'm not the biggest fan of pain, you see. Anyway, I'm sure I'll find out if it worked one day. And the fact we got a hold of the Tamate Bako was already worth the trip.
Well, as long as you're happy, that's all that matters.
And that concludes Avi and Circe's exciting Issei Shima adventure. Thanks for reading, everyone.
He's narrating again.
Well now, I suppose I'll be going back to the US. What about you, Circe?
I think I'll keep exploring the Key region for a little while longer. I was thinking of paying a visit to Kamano Gongen.
That was the deity of the Kamano region, right?
That's the one. Actually, it's a collective term for the deities enshrined in the 3 grand shrines known as the Kubano Sanzen.
I'm glad that didn't take too much time. And thus, after obtaining the flesh of a mermaid, Avi's wish came true, and he was granted an 800-year lifespan. A man like him who constantly seeks out new adventure would most assuredly never encounter a dull day in those 800 years. Living his life to the fullest, he traveled the world in an everlasting search of thrilling mysteries and marvels. In the mid-21st century, his novel, The Tale of Never-Ending Youth, which was inspired by his own experiences, became a surprise worldwide hit. The live-action adaptation by a major US studio proved a major success, spawning merchandise and a theme park that made him a wealthy man. Always smiling until his final days, he proudly proved that even after 800 years, not all glory is doomed to fade. In the 27th century, he wrote the following words in his journal. "The world keeps on turning. Compared to its birth and the richness of its history, 800 years is far too short. Arnav Barnum." Ending 2. The Glory of Arnav Barnum. Like, this is kind of like a joke ending, but it's weird that you could only really get it after you get the true ending, or are very, very, very close to getting the true ending. Like, it feels almost unsatisfying. Especially if there's only 6 endings in the game, right? And you're gonna take 2 endings out until, like, post game, and make them joke endings or whatever. Just, I don't know, it feels wrong. Okay, so to get the ending number 3, basically the only difference is we need to kill Kikuko instead of capturing her. So I think I need to start from here. So first, I need to toss my mirror. The thing is, we've already done all these choices before during that stream because I was trying to get whatever ending was coming from here. So this time we want to keep the business card so that she does attack us and then we are forced to use the Curse of the Fish on her. Just annoying that we have to go through all the dialogue again. Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. Okay, so we find out about her tragic backstory, whatever. Again. Cool backstory, still murder. So she knows, or we know that she knows Ikoma. We ask about him. We reveal that we have his business card. She activates her curse. Cersei holds her back, and then we need to kill her before the curse takes place. The way he also, like, his portrait runs at her with that weird position of him holding his hands up, like, as if he's, like, in surprise is so silly. And of course, I'm assuming that if you do kill her, some of the dialogue in the true ending probably changes when they just briefly mention that Ikoma's taken off the island with Kikuko. Probably changes, but I feel like it doesn't actually affect anything significant besides getting this ending. Right, and we get her curse stone, and then they gotta go over that again. It's a good thing we saved another entire stream to get this true ending, because there's no way I would have been able to do all this yesterday night. I've gotten pretty lucky with these Paranormasight streams in terms of pacing. And I'm pretty proud of the way I've been able to divide up the VODs. Keeping them all under 2 hours, while also keeping each one, like, a proper, like, episode segment from beginning to end. And also being able to use the thumbnails for each character. Okay, so basically, now we do this one, but the difference is that Kikuko's dead. Oh, so it literally just skips to this part. The only part different is the text here. That's a little upsetting. And thus, after obtaining the flesh of a mermaid, Abby's wish came true and he is granted an 800-year lifespan. However... Oh dang, they actually show her corpse. Soon after, Abby was detained at the airport by the Paranormal Affairs Bureau under suspicion of murdering Kikuko Tsutsui with a curse. It was the mangled, half-fish remains of Kikuko Tsutsui washed ashore on the coast of Toba that brought the crime to light. Abby fought back furiously, yelling and demanding he get a lawyer and saying he refused to talk. He did everything he could to avoid conviction. In the end, the case never went to court. However, citing the rule that 800-year immortals must be sealed away, a decision was made. From that day on, Arn of Barnum, the cheerful fantasy novelist, was never seen in public again. Ending 3, The Fall of Arn of Barnum. That's a really disappointing ending, considering that it is exactly the same as the number 2, except the text changes at the end. You don't even get a credit roll from that one. You don't even get a credit roll from that one. Okay, so now we're finished everything in the game other than collecting the birds and farming out diving level. Okay, let's talk about the game. So obviously this is the second Paranormasight game, so it's hard not to compare the two, but they're definitely going for something different. So I've been saying this all along. Compared to the first game, this game is definitely a slower burn. It takes a lot longer for the plot to pick up. There's a lot less exciting stuff that happens, and there's an entire like middle section of the game that's actually kind of boring. And again, the order that you play the episodes might be a bit different than me, but despite that, I still think that regardless of the order that you do them, that's probably still going to be the case. So, was the ending worth it? I think there were better things about the ending than the first game, but there are also things that weren't as good as well. Let's talk about the positives first. just like the first game, I think the art style's great. I love the way they draw the characters, the way that they're like, they're anime style, but they have, not to say realistic expressions, but more like semi-realistic in some way. They're not traditional anime. Like, some of the expressions are really good. Like, I think Yumiko has some of the best ones. Soto has some really good expressions too, just because his are more cartoony. Arnav, actually, I think they really did a good job of drawing him, because you don't see characters of his age usually in anime style without making them look too young. So I think they did a really good job. And like, some of the expressions, like Arnav's expressions are really good. His poses, I think they're all really good. Music, I think, is still good in the game. It being a lower budget game, there aren't that many music tracks, but the few ones that they have are pretty good. The research that they did was very commendable. Doing, all this research both on mythology and folklore, and also like the actual real life location and the tourism. They clearly took some photos to use as references to paint over for those backgrounds, which was nice. But then they made the backgrounds all into like a 2-point perspective look, so you can use them as a point-and-click adventure with a 360 view. So stylistically, I think it's really good. And they're definitely going for something different than the first game. Less horror is one of the things that they definitely said that they were going to do. And then the idea of having the episodes being presented in non-chronological order this time changed it up a little bit. So on that front, good. Narratively, I think, like, the beginning of the game, I think started off okay. I liked Yuza and Azami a lot at the beginning, and I like Sato as well. But then Azami and Tsukasa kind of fall by the wayside and don't really become important at all past the beginning. The beginning of the game focuses a lot on Yuza and then Sato, and then the entire middle section of the game is just Yumiko and Arnav, like, almost exclusively. You barely see Yuza and Sato, and then it switches back, and you bring back Yuza and Sato towards the end. So it feels a bit uneven, as opposed to the first game, where we are juggling all the protagonists, except for the prologue protagonist, almost equally. It feels weird, it feels very uneven. And it makes the pacing feel very weird because, at the beginning of the game, you're posed with all these mysteries, and then you switch to Yumiko and Arnav, and they almost solve every single mystery that you have at the beginning of the game, except for the fact that they've solved them chronologically before they even get to Kamishima. So it happens before the beginning of the game, which feels really weird. So then by the time you finally fast forward back to Kamishima, and you're like, okay, now it's time to prevent the tragedy, it's like, well, we already have all this knowledge and backstory and explanations. Even though it feels like we're just starting the middle of the game, you're actually further than the middle by that point. So pacing wise, very strange. The lore dumps. The folklore is cool and all, but there's a lot more of it than the first game, because the first game had a lot more fictional lore, because the Seven Mysteries of Honjo are fictional. They still talk about other folklore and stuff, but here it's almost like the vast majority of it is real mythology, and then they adapt some little bits of it for themselves. But it also means that they dump so much of it at you at the same time. Yumiko story has some of it, but then Arnav's story, the very first episode with him, was like over an hour of just lore dumps, and that was too much at once, and all for just solving like the map mystery. Didn't seem very satisfying. It'd be nicer if they sprinkled it throughout. The other problem is, a lot of times when they do the lore dumps, it's just like the characters say, oh, I added that to the files, and then it's just, you have to read it on your own. And yes, you could skip reading it and still understand the story, but if you want to get the full breadth, you have to open up the file. And those files are kind of long. And I guess it doesn't really matter if you're not streaming, because if you're streaming like me, you're reading them out loud, it takes a lot longer to go through. You can just skim read them, which is fine. Some of them are kind of important for the understanding of the story, though, and some of them are very long, and some of them appear in the middle of very climactic events. So you're in the middle of a very climactic event, and they have to pause to read this long-ass file, which kind of breaks it up. Same with the storyteller. Sometimes you're in the middle of a climactic event, and he'll just pop up out of nowhere, ask you a quiz question that spoils something, and then get back to it. It kind of takes you out of it. Even if him giving you the quiz question ultimately serves to help you understand the game and push you forward, it just feels like, okay, I was in the middle of something here, can we just not continue that first? So I felt like the narrator was a little bit more intrusive this time. He does that like 1 or 2 times in Paranormasight 1, but in this game I think he does it at least 3 or 4 times, which just felt too intrusive. I didn't like that. The ending of the game, compared to the first game, I think they did a slightly better job, because I do like the idea that, yes, actually all the characters did come together to fight against the bad guy and work together, and they thwarted him. So that felt good, because in the first game, we didn't really get that. like Haruway kind of drops out of the story, and then like Tetsuo and Mio work together, or Tetsuo and Yako work together, even though Yako and Mio just kind of hide in the bushes and they don't really do much. And then even then the conclusion's bad, the outcome of that confrontation is bad, and then we solve the big mystery, the big puzzle of the game, and then it ends on a bad note anyways, and then you have to get the true ending. By the time you get the true ending, the bad guy has already been defeated off screen, and we never even get a chance to really like outwit the bad guy or anything like that. So in this case, being able to outwit Tomoshige and also do it using the knowledge felt more satisfying, although the whole like pick some people and tell them what to do was a little bit too vague for my tastes. Although I understand in the end, I think it was a clever idea, but I just think it could have been done a bit better. In fact, I would have felt better if that was even a decision that was made by the characters and not me. It would have been cooler, in my opinion, if I just sat back and the character said we had a plan, and then we saw the plan unfold before our eyes, and then I'd be impressed and be like, whoa, that was a cool way to solve it. Instead of like, we only attempted it once and got it wrong, which is fine, but I can see someone getting it wrong multiple times and then feeling frustrated, and then you lose the momentum of getting that climax because you're at a very climactic point in the game. That being said, even though all the characters come together and help, Cersei helps off-screen, Soto helps directly, Azami and Tsukasa just kind of stand there, they don't actually do anything, and then Yumiko and Arnav are completely off-screen for that entire section. So even though they're playable characters, it feels like they drop out of the story at that part, which means that afterwards, when it comes to like the epilogue, right, Yumiko just kind of comes out and she's just like, okay, we're going back now, we're taking a coma, think about becoming an investigator, and then she leaves. And then Arnav, you just kind of get him going like, well, that was an adventure. Hi, we're meeting for the first time in this timeline. Okay, bye. So even though Yumiko and Arnav and Cersei and Shoto were all like major characters and playable characters at that, the ending, they just kind of leave. And they don't take part in the celebration at all. And then it just moves back to Yuza, Sato, Tsukasa, and Azami, which is fine for them. But I just think that like, at least having them celebrate was kind of nice, because we didn't see that in the first game either, where people actually got together and celebrated the, defeat of the bad guy. We didn't really get that. It didn't feel conclusive. And I know not every story needs to end that way, but it just felt better that way. Although the celebration happens here, and then here with the actual ending, it's just kind of them talking, and then it just goes to credits. I kind of wish that there was a little bit more fanfare for this, considering how hard we had to work to get the true ending. And again, hiding Yuza and Sato's relationship until the very end, I mean, I understand why they did it, and to their credit, it kind of worked. I was rooting for them too once we started their recollection episodes and saw them getting together, but the fact that it doesn't get sprung until just the very end, and then they spring Azami and Tsukasa, is just kind of like, it doesn't feel as satisfying that way either. So I definitely think the Paranormasight games struggle with their endings, because they want to pick up all the loose threads, but they also, I think they're too worried about trying to fix the whats and not the whos, because it feels like the characters didn't really get a full ending. Yumiko didn't really feel like she got an ending. Soto doesn't really feel like he got an ending. Arnav and Cersei only feel like they get endings if you go do those endings 2 and 3, which are joke endings, more or less. So I also don't like the idea that 2 and 3 are not endings you can get until after you possibly get 6, or at least between getting 5 and 6. And they don't really contribute anything to the story at all. So like, part of the fun of having a game with the visual novel and having multiple endings is that you can go different routes and end up in dead ends or bad endings. And this game didn't really have that because there weren't that many endings other than, like, the very bad ending at the beginning. And then the 2 final endings, and then the 2 joke endings, and the only other one was the one where Tomoshige wins, quote unquote. So, and in fact, even after we confront him, we don't see him on screen. He just goes like, what? And then you see all the Shikigamis comes, and then you just hear off screen that he got arrested. So that felt really weird to me, because we didn't even get to hear him be like, I guess he was like, he did curse Sato and then get taken away, but it didn't really feel like he was, we didn't get that satisfying Ace Attorney breakdown, And then even after that, the whole like subplot with Shotaro, I feel like we could have done completely without that. It felt like a weird thing to add in. It felt like they were adding another hurdle into the falling action there, and then in the end, that doesn't even get addressed again. So that just felt strange. It just felt, there's a lot of things about this game that feel a little odd. The pacing, I think the pacing's the main thing. There's a lot of times too where characters just conveniently drop information that you need. I know with Sato, it's explained that she actually does remember everything, so that's why she's withholding information and tells you only as you need to go. But sometimes it feels like I get the information and I don't feel like I worked for it. Because in Paranormasight 1 and in other visual novel games where you're playing like a mystery or a detective thing, right? A lot of times you're uncovering mysteries and it feels like you're actually working to get those answers. And in this game, it doesn't feel like it because a lot of the answers just kind of fall in our laps. Yumiko just suddenly feels like sharing about stuff once we figure out she's a mermaid. She just suddenly feels like explaining a bunch of things. Sato just so happens to remember or decide to remember to tell us something when she decides that it's worth our time. It just feels a little weird. Not to mention that like there's a lot of times in the game where events happen off screen that I feel are kind of important for us to see, and we don't see them. Like, it's not important for us to see Azami taking the mirror away from Sato and Tsukasa, so I get that that happens off screen. But things like Yumiko talking to Suiken Gamyodo to get Wakamura to cooperate them sounds like something that should happen on screen. Or seeing Yuza and Sato's confession to each other sounds like something that should happen on screen. So there's a lot of weirdness here and there. Again, I don't think this game's a bad game. I think it's not as strong as the first game, but that might be a matter of preference based on what you like to see on like the amount of horror or the slow burn or the amount of action. So I get it. So I think this game does things better in some areas and worse in some areas than Paranormasight 1. Also, Paranormasight 1 had like a handful of meta puzzles. This game didn't really have that until the true ending, which is weird because if you did not play Paranormasight 1, you might not even know to start looking in a meta sense to try to solve this game, like going to the load screen and loading that mystery file. It would have been better if they had more meta moments if they wanted to lead up to that, but they didn't. Most of the puzzles in this game were just literal puzzles, which is fine, but there weren't very many of them. Most of them happened on Arnav's story, and it was just at the beginning with the map and with the treasure box. So the pacing of the puzzles is also strange. Also, the diving minigame, I could see how it might be relaxing and fun, but the fact they front-loaded it at the beginning, and then you don't use it again until, like, you're solving the cursed waves curse, and then suddenly you realize you have to grind a little bit before you do it. That just felt really weird. It really took you out of it. You're at a climactic moment in the game and suddenly you have to grind. That just felt weird. I think they want to mix up the gameplay, but to me, that just didn't work. So I don't know. I think Paranormasight 1 is a game I would still recommend to other people, even though I didn't really like the way they ended it. But Paranormasight 2, I don't think I could really just go around recommending it to just anyone. I think you need a very specific niche taste. You need like an interest in Japanese folklore and like a slow burn kind of thing to really appreciate this, I think. If you want a game that does like non-chronological timeline stuff, you'd be better off doing something else like Zero Escape with the story chart or whatever, I think. And it would have felt more satisfying at the end, and it would have been better paced in terms of puzzles as well. Either way, I still hope that they make another one because there's still some loose ends, even if the stories don't completely tie together. But like Suiken Gamyodo, who I think is Shogo now, we don't know. We know that Cersei and Mio know each other. There's other like people at the Paranormal Affairs Department that they've been alluding to. The storyteller. Also the player. I'm glad they didn't reuse the same thing from the first game with the identity of the player. But at the same time, it's kind of like, I feel like they have to pigeonhole themselves into this weird narrative if every single Paranormasight game needs to have the storyteller and the player acting as some kind of agent that controls the timeline, and they need to come up with a different explanation each time. Because like they said, like the explanation of me being his consciousness severed from his head makes sense, and me being the Tomokazuki makes sense, but then me being able to possess Sato, Yumiko, and Arnav and also just jump timelines and perspectives and give them information feels like something they just kind of pulled out of their butts to fit with the rest of the narrative, because that wasn't really completely explained or warranted other than the fact that they need it for a gameplay mechanic. That's just my thoughts on it. I'm still glad I played this game. If they come up with another one, I will play it as well to see. Yeah, that's my main thoughts about this game. Oh yeah, and also Nintendo Switch controls. I mean, I didn't notice it as much this time as being bad, just because, like, compared to a mouse and keyboard, just because there weren't as many times where I really needed to use them to get precise movements. Except for maybe during the diving minigame, but even then it wasn't super annoying, so I can let it slide this time, because it didn't feel like it. Oh yeah, there's also the part where Sato gets slashed for the first time. I just spin around 360 like 4 or 5 times before I finally saw the curse. Took away from the tension of the moment. It's kind of like in the first game when Yoko tells Shogo to look around, and then you spin around forever until something happens, kind of takes away from the tension when I think the game intends for you to turn around immediately and see something. And also there's a couple spelling things, not as much this time, but there's at least 2 instances in the game where they write the dialogue box and they put the wrong person's name as the speaker, and then it kind of makes the context feel weird until you realize it's incorrect. So I wish that wasn't there, but it didn't take away from the experience, but it was confusing in the moment. Anyways, thank you so much for joining me for Paranormasight, The Mermaid's Curse. Hope you guys enjoyed the streams. Next 2 days, I haven't decided what I'm streaming. I might be doing another Split Fiction stream with Kieran. Either way, on Friday, the new Resident Evil game comes out, so I will be playing Resident Evil Requiem on release, and I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, thank you for dropping by, everyone. I really appreciate it. Let's find someone to raid. Let's see. It's been a while since we dropped in on Remy. He's playing Deadlock. Let's go say hi to him. I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye, froggy friends.